What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another episode of WWE's Biggest Issue. Now, this week's episode is going to be a little bit different from the previous episodes because this one is going to be rather unique. With the Elimination Chamber coming up a week from this Saturday, there are so many problems, there are so many things that can go wrong with the Elimination Chamber in general. So for today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of the Elimination Chamber and what match should be the main event. Obviously, the three, or rather, out of all 5 matches that are on the card, the 4 most anticipated matches are obviously the Elimination Chamber match for the WWE title, Becky Lynch versus Lita for the Raw Women's title. Excuse me. The Usos versus the Viking Raiders for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, and of course, Roman Reigns versus Goldberg for the Universal title. A match that was supposed to happen, but it did not happen. It did not come to pass. Until now. Obviously, until now. I have to admit, this was quite the interesting matchup, because again, we were supposed to have had this at WrestleMania a couple years ago, but because of COVID, that did not come to pass. I know I shouldn't have said COVID, but still, it was pretty. But I have to admit, this might be probably the most bizarre Elimination Chamber pay-per-view we've had in years. But if you look at the past match cards from all of the different shows that WWE has done in Saudi Arabia, there were some incredible cards. I must admit, this first one here, that was actually known as the Greatest Royal Rumble, which I'm actually attempting to watch again on Peacock. But it was kind of a weird one because we had John Cena versus Triple H to kick off the show, which was a hell of a card, which was a hell of a matchup. The rivalry will never end. Honestly, it'll never end. We had Cedric Alexander defeat Kalisto to retain the WWE Cruiserweight title. We had Woken, Matt Hardy, and Bray Wyatt defeat the Bar, Cesaro, and Sheamus, of course, to win the vacated Raw Tag Team titles. We had Jeff Hardy defeat Jinder Mahal to retain the United States title. We had the Bludgeon Brothers, Eric Rowan and Luke Harper, rest his soul, defeat the Usos to retain the SmackDown Tag Team titles, which was a blowout. We had Seth Rollins defeat The Miz, Finn Balor, and Samoa Joe in a ladder match to retain the Intercontinental title. AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura ended in a double countout for the WWE title. We had Undertaker and Rusev in a casket match, which was another blowout. But then again, this is Rusev we're talking about here. And then, of course, Brock Lesnar against Roman Reigns in a steel cage for the Universal title, which ended in the worst way possible. And then Braun Strowman winning the Greatest Royal Rumble match, which lasted an hour 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 20 seconds, which is insane. This card was kind of interesting. And the reason why the reason why I say that is because this was it was a weird card because of not just because of the matches that were on the card, but it was because of the fact that some of these were just absolute blowouts. Like obviously, like obviously the WWE title match was a blowout. The match between Jeff Hardy and Jinder Mahal was a blowout. But if you look at some of the other cards that we've had, as well, you know, like Crown Jewel 2018. If you look at Crown Jewel, this was yet another blowout. There were so many problems with this card. It was just absolutely absurd. And I'm actually I do have the card in my book. I gotta go all the way back to 2018 in my book, so I do apologize if this is taking forever. Yeah, so it all started with the Greatest Royal Rumble in 2018. It then continued to Super Show, or rather, I would say Super Showdown. But this actually took place in Australia. So let's go to Crown Jewel. So Crown Jewel, we had Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. We had AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe for the WWE title. We had DX versus the Brothers of Destruction, which was a crazy matchup. We had, and then of course we had the World Cup tournament, which the first round matches were Kurt Angle versus Dolph Ziggler, Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley, The Miz versus Jeff Hardy, and of course Randy Orton versus Rey Mysterio. And the match, that tournament ended with Shane McMahon taking The Miz's place in the finals and winning the Best in the World Cup. Yeah, and then of course we had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Rusev for the United States title, as well as The Bar versus the New Day for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. And then of course if you look at Crown Jewel, or rather Super Showdown 2019, this took place in Jeddah. We had Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley, Finn Balor versus Andrade for the Intercontinental title, Goldberg versus The Undertaker, which was a complete blowout. This was one of the most blowout matches in the 30-year career of The Undertaker, which was insane. We had Triple H versus Randy Orton. We had the 50-man Battle Royal, which I think was won by Mansoor. Yeah. It was won by Mansoor, eliminating Elias, which was crazy. We had Shane McMahon versus Roman Reigns, Kofi Kingston versus Dolph Ziggler for the WWE title, Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin for the Universal title, and then of course the Lucha House Party versus all three members of the Lucha House Party versus Lars Sullivan, who was supposed to have debuted as part of the five superstars from NXT that jumped shipped to the main roster, which was him, Ricochet, Aleister Black, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny Gargano. Which Aleister Black and Johnny Gargano, Gargano is done with the NXT. Rumor has it that he might come back after his wife Candice LeRae completes her pregnancy, which is awesome. Congrats to them, of course. And then of course Aleister Black, or I guess Malachi Black. I guess he's with AEW. I guess I don't know. I don't watch AEW. I've heard some interesting things about them, but still, I've heard that he is with AEW. If that is true, let me know. Let me know in the comments. And then of course we had the Revival, who is also with AEW from what I've been hearing, against the Usos, which was a crazy matchup. And then of course Crown Jewel 2019 was the biggest blowout ever, because this is what sparked NXT to actually show up, which was crazy. So we had Team Hogan, and we had Team Hogan versus Team Flair at Crown Jewel 2019. We had Team Hogan versus Team Flair. Team Hogan consisted of the Captain, Roman Reigns, Rusev, Ricochet, Mustafa Ali, and Shorty, or as Chad Gable. And then Team Flair had Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Randy Orton, which was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy, to say the very least. Then, of course, we had one of the most anticipated matches I never thought we would ever see. Braun Strowman versus Tyson Fury. Insane. Insane. Absolutely insane. Then, of course, we had Brock Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez for the WWE title, which was his only televised match before getting released by WWE. And there were rumors that he was supposed to have stayed in WWE for, I think, 4 years, if I remember correctly. So by next year, had he have stayed, by next year his contract would have been up. But it is what it is. Then, of course, we had the tag team turmoil to determine the best tag team in the world, which featured Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, known as the OC, the Revival, Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, Lucha House Party, the Dirty Dogs, Rude and Ziggler, the Viking Raiders, the New Day, Heavy Machinery, which was Otis and Tucker, and the B Team, which was won by the OC. Then, of course, we had Mansoor versus Cesaro, Seth Rollins versus Bray Wyatt, known as The Fiend, Falls Count Anywhere for the Universal title. We had the 20-man Battle Royal, which was won by Humberto Carrillo, where the winner would face AJ Styles for the United States title, which we had that. And then, of course, we had Natalya versus Lacey Evans. First time in history that women were going to headline a pay-per-view in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which was pretty crazy. And then, of course, too, if you keep going down the line, we had Super Showdown 2020, which was the last show in Saudi Arabia before COVID started. So we had New Day versus Miz and Morrison for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. We had Brock Lesnar versus Ricochet for the WWE title, which was a complete blowout. We had The Fiend versus Goldberg for the Universal title, which was the biggest blowout ever. Roman Reigns versus King Corbin in a steel cage. We had the Toei Gauntlet match, which was won by The Undertaker, pinning AJ Styles with his hat and jacket still on. Insane. Bayley versus Naomi for the SmackDown Women's title. Seth Rollins and Murphy versus the Street Profits for the Raw Tag titles. We had Gallows and Anderson versus the Viking Raiders. And then, of course, we had Humberto Carrillo versus Angel Garza, and Mansoor versus Dolph Ziggler. And then, of course, going down the line, no matches on the card for... Yeah, it was just all, like, shows in the Thunderdome, and it was just absurd. And then, of course, Crown Jewel last year was the first time that we had that would take place, that we would have post COVID, so to speak. So I had already done the prediction and result videos for each of them. So if you guys want to check them out, you're more than welcome to. They're buried in my list of videos that I've done over the years. In fact, I think I've done like what, over 950 videos already? Yeah, 956 videos, and this video would make 957. And yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely insane, absolutely crazy. I don't have anything else to say about it except that it's nuts. Absolutely nuts, people. Trust me, it is nuts. But this card, we had Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. We had Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's title. We had RK Bro versus AJ Styles and Omos for the Raw tag titles. We had Big E versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE title. We had Bobby Lashley versus Goldberg in a no-holds-barred match. Edge versus Seth Rollins, Hell in a Cell. Mustafa Ali versus Mansoor. Finn Balor versus Xavier Woods in the King of the Ring finals, which was won by Xavier Woods, now known as King Woods. We had Zelina Vega versus Doudrop in the Queen's Crown finals, which was won by now Queen Zelina. And then, of course, we had the Usos versus the Hurt Business for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Absolutely insane. Now, we have the Elimination Chamber in Jeddah. I know that it took a long time talking about those matches, but this card, Elimination Chamber 2022, might be the strangest we've had ever for a multitude of reasons. Number one is the fact that women are headlining a show in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and of course, by their traditional customs, women I guess apparently women are not allowed to do that, but the women of WWE are making that history, and that right there speaks volume. It says that they truly are taking over the entire WWE. Another thing too is that the Elimination Chamber match for the WWE title, think of the list of who's who. You have the champion, Bobby Lashley, the former champion, Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Austin Theory, Riddle, AJ Styles. Think about this. Styles, Rollins, and Lashley are the only three that have been inside the Elimination Chamber before. Riddle, Theory, and Lesnar have never been inside the Elimination Chamber before, but let's not forget, Brock Lesnar has been inside the Octagon before, so you could say that this might be home for him. But as far as Roman Reigns versus Goldberg, I think this this match might be the match that just ends badly, because if you guys know, back in 2020, Goldberg defeated the Fiend to win his second Universal title, and it just didn't feel right. It did not feel right because the fans were expecting the Fiend to defeat Goldberg because of how dominant he was since the Fiend got to WWE, since Bray Wyatt brought the Fiend to WWE. But unfortunately, that did not come to pass, as Goldberg just completely obliterated the Fiend, stopping all of his momentum, and he never regained. Here's the thing: the Fiend never regained that momentum until I think it was until WrestleMania when he defeated John Cena in that Firefly Funhouse match, which was bizarre. It was just absolutely bizarre. It's just, I don't even know how many times I need to say it. It was indeed that. But this match, Roman Reigns and Goldberg, we were supposed to have had this a couple years ago, but because of COVID, because of the pandemic, Reigns left WWE to not only protect himself, to ensure that COVID did not, would not bring back his leukemia, but he wanted to make sure that his family was safe, and I don't blame him for that. I don't blame him for that at all. But the fact that we never got to see this match and we're now finally getting to see it, is a testament to what that says about Goldberg. It says that it spells dream match, and we're finally getting to see it. But is it really going to be that? Is it really going to be the dream match that we've been wanting for years? That right there is the big question, because Roman Reigns has been dominant for 530 plus days, which is impressive. I gotta admit, it's impressive. But for Roman Reigns to lower his standards to go up against Goldberg, there is nothing that comes out of this when it comes to Roman Reigns. There's nothing, because with Roman, he's got nothing to lose. Ow. Hang on, guys. Ow. Sorry, guys. My neck is stiff. Anyway, nothing good is coming will come out from this match for Roman Reigns, because if he wins, Goldberg will just be another one of Roman's victims. If he loses, yeah, he will lose the Universal title, but we all know what's going to happen. The fans are going to go on Twitter, Instagram, all forms of social media, and say Goldberg shouldn't be champion. They're going to say that Roman Reigns should have won that match, and they're going to say that this match should be stripped from the record books. So the question remains, will this Chamber card live up to the hype? Because WWE has been hyping this up for the last month now, and honestly, I'm kind of biased on this one. It's hard to say, but I will say this. The one match that needs to be the main event needs to be the WWE title, because think about it. It's the Elimination Chamber. What better way to end the card, end the show, by having the Elimination Chamber match for the WWE title? What better way? Because you have four WWE veterans in the form of Bobby Lashley, the champion, Brock Lesnar, the former champion, Seth Rollins, and AJ Styles. And then, of course, you have two up-and-comers in the form of Austin Theory and Riddle, who's a part of RK Bro. And tonight on Raw, on Sci-Fi, big shout-out, no copyrights, of course, RK Bro is actually going to be in a quiz bowl as part of the Alpha Academy Academic Challenge, where if RK Bro wins it, they'll be getting their rematch for the Raw Tag Team titles, which I'm assuming it might take place at some point. But there's been rumors saying that Randy Orton's going to be leaving WWE for a while. I guess because of the back problems, but yeah, it's gonna be this is gonna be a very interesting card to say the very least. But I do want to point out as a disclaimer, this is in no way, shape, or form my prediction video. I'll be doing that not this coming Wednesday, but next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, I'll be doing the prediction video for the card next Wednesday. Not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. But all in all, I think the WWE title match needs to be the main event. The Universal title should definitely kick it off, because if they kick off the main card with Roman Reigns versus Goldberg, we all know that it's only gonna last just a couple minutes. and also, let's not forget, Roman Reigns can also expose the knee injury that Goldberg suffered last year. Let's not forget, he still has that knee injury. So the question is, will that become a factor going into that match? I think so. But that brings me to the question of the day. out of all 5 matches that are on the card as of now, obviously there'll be more in the future, in the upcoming week, but out of all the matches that are on the card, what match do you guys think will be the best match of the night, of the card? Let me know in the comments below. And that is going to do it for this episode of WWE's Biggest Issue. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel, you guys want to see more episodes of WWE's Biggest Issue, which get posted every Monday, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you guys do not miss out on any new content that comes your way. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. All the links will be down in the description below. And if you guys have any family you want to send me and want me to open up on the channel, my address will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.